Well, exciting times, I suppose. I've got the thing out of the mould now, with the top glued on. So finally, we've ended up with an instrument that's not wobbling all over the place. Basically, I think everything's fine. There's a few bits that I had to unglue one of these edges, since even with all those damn clamps that I made and put on, um, this this part didn't stick to the top, probably because I had the clamp bearing down on the wood there, on the internal block. But a nice easy way to release this glue is just to warm it up with a paint stripping gun, electric paint stripping gun, and it softens the glue, and then you can squeeze it again. But I think we're okay. I mean, I've got the edges to trim now, the top edges to trim back to the top, and like I was saying, I've dragged most of the error back down to here, wherever. So there's quite a lot of work to do around here. So I kind of want to, spend some time tidying up the edges now and see where we get. Because what I'm a bit afraid of is these flat little edges around there will all get uneven as I sort of cut it back to the sides. So that's the next stage, I guess, and then we'll go from there. So I can get on with that. But now you can sort of see, at least with this built, we were doing the fretboard in the last one, I can actually like start to get things all lined up and whatnot, and ready to kind of go, sort of thing. So let's get on tidying this edge up, and we'll see. I think it's going to take quite a while, but worth doing it carefully. So thank you very much. Well, I've been battling away with this all day. Well, I wouldn't say battling, but I knew it was going to be slow boat to China sort of thing. Been mainly concentrating on the back end here, and you can see that I've got the new step cut, and this shortened off, so I think it'll be alright. Running round here into that, which is fairly nice, and I've been working on the holes here, which are looking good now. So I think I haven't even started doing the top, other than just getting the edges roughly right. But I think we're getting somewhere now, so I think it's actually looking good, and I'm pleased because I think it's going to be successful as an instrument. I think I'm going to be able to, make it. Going to be build it now as a sort of being successful kind of thing, rather than I'm going to be struggling with it all the time. So pleased to get all this done and all right, and as with the original, you can see that now these are very close sort of things, so that's nice. It just shows how good it is to make templates sort of thing. So we'll go from there. Thank you. Long it's taken me just to get these swan neck things, like this good kind of thing, and it's going to take me an age longer to do them. And where I've made a bit of a mistake is, you can see that, like this one, there's not enough wood on there for me to make a nice heel on it. And okay, I've got enough there and probably enough here, but they're all a bit different, but they're so difficult to actually shape. I mean, it's like, oh my god, you can be filing away for ages, and it's just frustrating. So I'm kind of thinking what I might do is actually cut them off on this line there, and then glue, then if I cut them all off on that line, I could then make 4, if I can call them, feet for the swan necks that are all the same. I can make them off the instrument and make them all the same, and then glue them on. And I kind of think that was neater, would be neater, because when you look at these there, you can see, you know, the 3 bits of wood kind of thing going down there. I mean, it doesn't look terribly bad, but I kind of think it would look nicer if, you know, instead of having end grains sticking out, which is going to be really difficult to finish, if I put a nice bit of wood on the end, you know, with normal grain running that way, I think it would look quite nice, and I could do it in a different colour of wood if I wanted, but it's quite a bit of bravery involved with sawing off something that you've spent ages doing. So we'll have another thing. Hi there, back at 3R Guitars again. I've started on the back of the instrument. I'm not going to, you know, go through all the detail of doing this, because it's like the same as the front anyway, so I did a fairly detailed coverage of that. A couple of differences. Now I've got the, you know, the top of the instrument glued to the sides. You know, we're absolutely certain where the sides are going to be, where they touch the back. So I was much more accurate when I cut out the shape of the back. I mean, it's more or less kind of right sort of thing, just with, say, you know, a millimetre overlap sort of thing. So I cut that out and sanded it roughly to size. Then I've been round, as I did before, doing this step with the router and the router table here. I think you probably remember me struggling a little bit with the small router bit in the router. I think I got away with that because the top wood, being basically a sprucey pine, was fairly soft, but this back wood is, you know, quite a lot harder sort of thing. So I put my large router cutter in. Just give me a second, I'll get it unbolted from the router and show you what cutter it is, because it's quite special. I've just got that router cutter out. Here it is. It's a cutter produced by, I'm pretty sure, a firm called Whiteside. And basically it's got a bearing on it on the bottom, and you can also, it's got a bearing that will go on the top, so you can basically choose whichever, whether you want it as a bottom guided or top guided cutter sort of thing. So you can remove either of the bearings kind of thing. But I mean, you can see the cutters of like angled, so it doesn't chip the wood off, it shaves the wood off. The biggest problem you get when routing around something to a template is, you know, if you catch the grain a bit awkward with the cutter, it'll just wreck the wood. It'll dig in and take chunks off. This goes a very long way to stopping that, and damn expensive cutter. I think this was about £140, but I wouldn't be without it. It's just a wonderful thing, you know. You can just cut wood so effortlessly with it, but expensive but really good sort of thing. So I used that just to do this, and it was a lot easier than I should have done it with the front, really. But there we go. Regarding carving the back, this is a picture I've got of the side view of the hurdy-gurdy. Got them on Lyre Mandolin. And you can see that the back is more of an overall dome shape So it's slightly different carve. I mean, it's very difficult to see on there, but I'll be going for roughly the same thing. I mean, it makes sense, kind of thing, that it's curved like that anyway, acoustically. So I'll be going for rather than a flat top like you got on here across the bridge, I'll be making it a bit more curved. But well, here we go. This is after the good old angle grinder carving technique, just basically roughing it to shape. You can see that I've gone for I don't know if you can, gone for a bit more of a curve on the back. I mean, there's not much detail about how this goes, but you know, I think we're in the right ballpark anyway. You know, like I say, hi there. I've been carving out the back of the instrument. Like I say, it's not a job that enthuses me very much after carving out the top, doing exactly the same thing again. So I'm trying to do other jobs at the same time when I get a bit fed up of carving. What I want to do now is set out the body to neck joint, and this is probably one of the most difficult things to do on any musical instrument, really. You know, even, you know, from solid body electrics to acoustics of various types. I mean, Fender kind of had it right with you know, the bolt-on neck, although it was a bit agricultural. It's so much easier than doing a neck joint. So basically, like I said, when we started this instrument, I wanted to incorporate some more modern building techniques, kind of thing, which go some way to improving the sound. And one of those is increasing the break angle of the strings, the angle that the strings have when they go over the bridge. The steeper the break angle you have, obviously the more downforce you have on the top, which potentially gives it a bit more of a powerful sound. Now, the plan here, the F5 mandolin, clearly shows the type of neck joint that you've got here. The actual fretboard is suspended over the body, and this has two advantages. The aforementioned break angle of the strings is steeper. Also, the top of the neck is not the fretboard extension beyond the neck is not glued to the top, which would obviously be a bit detrimental to the vibration of the top, kind of thing. So I'm going for that kind of thing on this mandolin. Now it makes it quite awkward, obviously, because you've got, first of all, you've got to kind of jiggle it around till you get the neck angle correct. I mean, you don't want the bridge like, you know, 2 inches high or something off the body, kind of thing. Equally, so you can adjust the angle of the neck, but you can also adjust, if you like, the height that the neck is above the body at the joint. So there's two things you can consider. You know, the neck can be slid up and down at the neck joint, and also you can tip it back, kind of thing. So it's getting the balance between those two. I mean, I see on this model that the neck is roughly joined at the 12th, 13th, 14th fret. So we've got a couple of starting points. One is, you know, the scale length, you know, from the fret positions you've already sawn in the fretboard. So we know that we're going for a 350 millimeter fret bridge to top nut. So that's set. And going on from the height, I bought this like bridge from eBay, just a basically adjustable mandolin bridge. Unfortunately, all the mandolin bridges you can get are for an arch top instrument, but as you can see, the bottom part of this bridge, and we can see it's arched, but there's plenty of meat there for me to sand it to a flat top to fit on here, sort of thing. So first things first, I'm going to flatten that bridge off, so it will sit on the top, so I've got a basic height, string height to work with. And then what I'm going to do as well is, to start off, I'm going to saw this neck joint nice and square. So again, we've got a start point for this, and I thought I'd get this underway while the back is not on the body, so at least I know this is flat and I can lay it down somewhere without it sort of rocking and tipping and all that old jazz. So first things first, I'm going to flatten the bridge, and we'll get on with that, and I'll be back to you. Okay, so I've flattened off the bridge, very easy, just with a plane and a bit of sandpaper over a flat surface, sort of thing. I mean, we ballpark stuff at the moment. We're not at the ultimate setup, sort of thing. So I've marked the bridge position where it was on the original plan that I did. So this is a starting point for us. So the bridge is going to be around that point. And what I've done now as well is I want to tidy up this neck joint, so I've got at least something to measure from. This is not going to be the final position of the neck, probably. I don't know yet. I mean, obviously the neck block, we've got a little wiggle room in there. I mean, we've got that's got to accommodate a dovetail joint kind of thing, which is what I think I'll go for. So what I'm going to do now is probably put a wider blade in the bandsaw, so I'll be able to cut across there and have a nice finish. And like I say, with the advantage of doing this while before the back is on the guitar, at least I've got like a level surface to put it on, so I can be quite confident that cut line will be perpendicular, will be directly upright, sort of thing, to give a good starting point. So I'll get that done. Well, I thought I'd bring you over here just to show you something. Going to be sawing off this, neatening up this neck points, neck joint, otherwise it will just be me like waffling all the time really, and you seeing the end results. So yep, let's get on and cut this. I've put a wide blade in here, so got a good starting point, and I've marked the neck joint there perpendicular from the centre line of the instrument, so at least we're giving ourselves a good starting point. I'm going to redo that again. I didn't I'm not far enough. The cut I made didn't quite cut the neck block sort of thing. I was a bit far away, so I'm going to take another 1/8 of an inch off it, something like that. So I'll just mark that. Okie doke, we'll give that another go. Okay, so we've got as square as I'm going to get on there, and I do like to do that sort of thing on the bandsaw. I mean, okay, you could get a saw in there, and of course you can do it by hand and then file it. But I do like the clean square saw cut sort of thing. Gives a good starting point. So let's get back over to the marking up bench and see where we get. Right, well here we are. So what I'm going to do now is I think decide. There's a couple of things I've got to do now. Is like the original mandolin had a lot less frets than the F5. I don't know. Let's count them. We've got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 24 frets, 2-octave neck. And on this mandolin here, we've got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 28. We've got 29 frets. So I want somewhere between 24 and 29 frets. So so we will see how it goes. I might be able to get the whole lot in there, but the other thing I've got to consider is with the actual neck, with this large paddle kind of headstock. It's got to fit between, it's got to fit nicely there. It's got to fit nicely between the lyre arms, sort of thing. So it's just going to be a bit of jiggling to see where things fit out best, sort of thing. So I'll have a muck about with measuring things, and then we'll go from there. Okay, then here's where I've got to. What I've done basically is I've measured from the bridge 350mm scale length and marked it on the lyre arms here. So where that ruler is now, this edge of it, is where my top nut should be. And when I put the fretboard on, I've got the top nut lined up here, and then that puts my neck joint on the 13th fret, and then I can get 27 or 28 frets in, which is okay really. I'm fine with that. So next, what I can basically do is I can cut the neck to length. This line up where the nut is going to be on here, and the 13th fret, mark it on the neck. So that's where we want it to line up. So that's where my that line I've just drawn on there, that's where it will meet the body now. So which I think is actually looking really good. I mean, this is the advantage as well of keeping the neck square to this stage. You can draw all your square lines across it, sort of thing. Equally with the bottom of the body square, I can just come straight off the table and look at line the, that's as near as damn it where the neck is going to be on the body, and if I look down through here, that all lines up really nice with the lyre arms. One thing with the body join basically coming down here now, but I've got to leave a bit on here to cut the neck tenon to, you know, not the neck tenon, the neck dovetail joint. So I've got to leave some there, sort of thing, so I can cut a dovetail joint. So, I mean, when I built the neck, I did say that I was, you know, because I was uncertain where it was going to be, I left a lot of spare on the neck heel. You know, obviously that length comes off, and then I'll be reprofiling the neck to a nice neck heel there, sort of thing. So yeah, let's see where we get now. I think what I'll do is I'll probably cut the scrap off the end of the neck now. But I've been racking my brain out to work out a way that I can do the neck angle, get the string line and all that set. I mean, really what I want to do is cut the neck angle. That would be the most important thing. Now, in the last little snippet, you saw I could line up the top nut where it is on the lyre arms. I've got the 13th fret neck joint. So what I've been trying to do now is actually work out a tip angle for the neck, and the way I decided to do that was use the fretboard, which is the ultimate sort of playing surface, and then I've cut this block of wood in here at varying tapers, sort of thing, trial and error kind of thing. So what I've got now is when I put the bridge on, you can see that the string line now, if I lay this on the surface of the fretboard, I come back, it just touches the bridge. Well, the strings are obviously a bit higher than the bridge by a fraction now, so I'll have to adjust the bridge up from there, which is fine. But you know, if you get the neck angle just a fraction too steep, you're ending up with another 1/4 of an inch over the bridge, and it begins to look a bit stupid being so high. And also with this packing piece up here, you can see I've just used as a template. That is going to give me, if you like, the extension on the neck to enough room under there for an extension to the neck to support the fretboard. So I think that all lines up nicely. In addition, if you look at this as a front view of the instrument, you can see that the fretboard level is about, you know, round the top of the lyre arms, sort of thing. And if you look on there, that's roughly where I've got it as well, sort of thing. So I'm kind of happy with that. So now what I want to do is measure the neck angle, and then I can cut the neck appropriate that it duplicates that angle, sort of thing. So I'm pleased with that. But I mean, I can measure the neck angle quite simply with one of these like protractor things and get a good idea of it, sort of thing. If I put that against the, get it the right way, if I put that against the you know, one end of it against there, and then, I mean, basically that's 90 degrees. So come back. So I know I want the neck angle roughly something like that. I mean, I'll do it properly, but it's not going to be far off 90 degrees obviously, but we'll get a good idea of what it should be. So I'll measure that, and we can start marking out the neck joint then on the end of the neck. Okay, well, I measured that angle of the tilt of the fretboard to like 86 degrees. So there's 4 degree neck angle, which I think is great, because Gibson Les Paul, it's about 4.1, 4.2 degrees. So by jiggery pokery kind of thing, I've come up with the same neck angle sort of thing as a guitar kind of thing. So I can't say that I'm probably too wrong out there. So I've cut the end of the neck with that angle. Obviously, that's got an allowance on there to cut the tenon in. You can see that parallel line, or roughly there. That's going to be the thickness of the dovetail, not the bleeding tenon. And if we look at my measurement of the angle now, you can see that fitting that on there, oh, I don't know if you can see it, but we've got like pretty much like perfect, or at least something we can work with sort of thing. So I'm in the right ballpark here sort of thing. So we can get on now and cut the tenon, dovetail in the back of the neck sort of thing. So I'm pleased with that. I think we've solved that problem about measuring neck angle, so we're all good. Well, here we go. I've marked the dovetail out. I mean, I don't use any particular given dovetail kind of measurements, so I just mark out what looks like a dovetail. I mean, I've gone for 20 mil wide at the wide end, and 15 at the smaller end of it sort of thing. And I kind of I cut them by hand sort of thing, but it's just if you go on the bandsaw to do it or something, you can't really, you know, everything's at an angle sort of thing. So I tend just to do it by eye, but you know, there's probably 101 ways of doing it. But a dovetail cut on there, fairly square, I guess. I don't expect perfection with these things. They're very difficult to do, and I'm certainly not a joiner by trade, but gives us something to work with now to mark out the other end of it. And yep, so it's all good. Well, so last time we sorted out the neck angle. I was actually very pleased with the way that I found of doing it, like using the fretboard as a guide. And this was the spacer I cut to put underneath it, sort of thing. So we got the angle quite well set, and I cut the tenon, the dovetail on the end of the neck. I've got some tidying up to do with a chisel sort of thing, which shouldn't be long. But I think one of the advantages of actually doing the joint before putting the back on is I haven't got like a blind dovetail to cut in here. I mean, if I had the back on, I wouldn't want to cut all the way through. So you could see the end of the dovetail from the back of the instrument. So now I can just mark the dovetail on there and like cut it all the way through, and then stick the back on, sort of thing. But generally, so what the plan is, you have, this is why you cut the dovetail now, sort of thing. You have the fretboard goes on and it sails over the back here, but you cut a step in here and put a bit of wood kind of in there sort of thing, which is the extension to the neck. So there's an order to do these things sort of thing. So you glue the extension on the neck, and then that's the part that kind of flies over the top of the body kind of thing, to the end of the fretboard to support it. And you generally have a little gluing edge on the underside of the extension for, say, the first 3/4 of an inch or something like that, and that makes the neck even more solid. So I'll get on and just chisel the you can see here, like you know, it's quite accurate actually there, but when I've sawn it to the back, I've got a step in it which is pointless. Will make a horrible joint. So I'll just tidy up both sides so they're the same, and then we'll see how the angle sits sort of thing, and if it's wrong we can start fiddling with it. Well, here we go. I've cleaned up the dovetail joint, so I think we're fairly square. It's important to get these shoulders very accurate kind of thing, in line like that. On the back, I mean, a good way to do it is obviously with a chisel kind of thing, and hold it flat against the top and just shear little bits off. I mean, you're not going to get it perfect at this stage, but a good starting point. So if we fit the neck where it's going to be, you know, making sure that the headstock is central there kind of thing, we can mark the female part of the dovetail. So we've got that roughly marked on there now where we want it. Dovetail joints are very difficult joints to do, and it's one of those joints you want to sneak up on. You know, if you try and especially with this where you've got an angle tipping backwards and forwards, you've got that way as well. They're difficult, very difficult to do, but like I say, sneak up on them, and you've got a good chance of getting a nice joint. But I mean, the number of old guitars I've taken loose with this neck joint, there's very, very few I've taken loose that have had a perfect joint. Normally they've got packing in them kind of thing. I mean, the shoulders you've got to get really nice fit into the body sort of thing, but the dovetail may be actually slightly slack, but in my opinion there's absolutely no shame in shimming the dovetails. I mean, you could cut it quite slack and then just put some veneers, some thin veneers of wood on, you know, either side of the dovetail, and it's going to be as strong as a really good fitting one, but just because of the way the mechanics of the joint work sort of thing. So I really don't think there's any shame in having a loose dovetail and having it shimmed. In some respects, you know, the vital thing here is to get the joint, the angle of the neck correct, both in plan view and vertically. So don't worry too much about the dovetail. I mean, get it as good as you can, but don't sacrifice the angle and line of the neck for a good joint. Sacrifice the joint for a good angle of the neck kind of thing. So like I say, you can always shim it, and there's no shame in that. I've seen it on plenty of quality guitars that I've taken loose that are you know, supposedly you know, perfect kind of thing, but they have shims and scraps of wood in the neck joints, which is fine. I mean, shows it's handmade and some attention's been given to it. So there we go. So let's get cutting this out roughly, and we'll go from there. again, I think this is one advantage of the having the back off the instrument. It's nice and square. You can't, you know, if you put it down somewhere, it's not like rocking from side to side. So we can actually cut the dovetail female part out using the bandsaw, so we know the saw cuts are going to be perpendicular to the back of the body, sort of upright. So we can get on and do this, and it's going to be a bit quicker than by hand and with the back on the guitar. So I think that's a good move. So let's get on and do that. Bit of a fiddle, but we've got the basics of the joint cut out now, so I can neaten it up, and yeah, so pleased with that coming on. So let's get seeing how the neck fits badly. Well, we're sneaking up on it, kind of thing. I can actually get the neck in now, but not very far. But we've made a start sort of thing, and you can see it's pretty well lined up. I think probably wants to go that way a little bit, lined up a little bit sort of thing, but it's not too bad. But it probably wants to go that way a little bit. And like I say, trying to get the neck joint dead accurate is very, very, very difficult job. You know, I've seen a lot of cheats on some you know, quite well-known makes of guitar, where just get this out, where see these these shoulders here of the joint, they will actually be cut like in a V, so it's just these edges, it's just the very edge that bites into the guitar body sort of thing, so it looks like a perfect dovetail joint, but it's not, because these aren't like flat and there's a big gap there. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm sure I'm not going to get this a perfect tight fit, and you know, have it exactly the right angle and everything like that. So I'll get it as close as I can, then I'm absolutely positive we'll be packing it. And you know, I mean, the thing that you really want to get nice, I think, is the joint between the body and the shoulders. If you've got sort of gaps in that with like filler in it and shit, like yeah, that doesn't look very professional. So we'll try and get those good. And if the neck is a little wobbly, we can always put shims down the sides of the dovetail. But we'll have a go at making it perfect first, but I'm not holding my breath. So okay, this is how we're looking now with this, which I'm quite happy with it. Let's zoom in round the neck joint so you can take a look. You can see that I've, you know, had to put the compulsory little veneer shims in round the dovetail tongue kind of thing. Like I say, I don't think there's any shame in that really. I mean, when you think of all the angles you've got to get correct, not only is the neck got to be in line that way and that way, it's actually got to be, it can't have a twist on it. You know, I mean, if you put a straight edge over the neck, you know, it has to be like in line kind of thing. And then So anyway, it's just much more important to get the neck perfectly where you want it, and you know, the angle you want it. So now we've got, if we imagine this block as the neck extension, that will go on there. We'll have the fretboard flying over like that. So this will be underneath the neck flying over like that. And if we put the bridge on, there and run a straight edge over the lot, you can see we're absolutely perfect in height there, and I'm really happy with that. I think it looks, you know, it looks good, and yeah, okay, the dovetail joint is not perfect, but the neck is, and absolutely perfectly where I want it. So I'm not bothered about adding those shims on it. It's not detrimental to the strength of the neck. The other thing with dovetail joints as well is, for musical instruments, is they tend to have a little bit of room behind at the back of the dovetail. I mean, it's very typical on archtop guitars with the string tension over the years for the neck to tip forward a little bit and the joint loosen, and it's in this area that you get these special tools that are like a pin sort of thing that you can drill a hole, take a fret off over the joint there, drill a hole, stick this tube in there and blow steam into the joint, which will loosen it, take it off and reset the neck. It's really a common thing. But anyway, so I think I'm pretty pleased with that. So the next thing I'm going to do now is make the neck extension. Now the tenon is, now the dovetail is cut, I can do a little mahogany neck extension to go on there, and that would be the neck, another stage closer to completion.